what's up? It's Odie Gaming here, and today I'm gonna be doing a Premier League predictions. So Premier League is pretty fun. I'm not gonna do Championship because it could just be anything. It's so hard to predict the Championship. So I'm only gonna stick to Premier League, and yeah, I'll just do it right now. Right now I'm using the BBC Sport site. So if you wanna use it, just go to Premier League Predictor or something, BBC Sport, and you'll probably find it. It's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is tap one of the addition marks and tap the team. And so yeah, let's just go into it. So 20th, this is really hard. It's you never want to be wrong with 20th because it just looks kind of sad. You're just annoying the team you put as 20th. So I'm gonna have to really think about this one. The contenders, I'd say, for 20th will probably be Brighton, Newcastle, Sheffield, uh, maybe Norwich, but they won the league championship, so probably not. Maybe Crystal Palace because they've had some bad times with transfers. Zaha is staying, but Zaha's really angry, I think, and so he might not play as well as he normally does. That's why I think Crystal Palace might be one. Bournemouth, nah, they're pretty good. And so those are probably the contenders. I Everyone says Newcastle for 20th, but Newcastle have starting to be making some good transfers, and I don't actually think it is going to be Newcastle, to be honest. I think they're going to get relegated, but I don't think they're going to be 20th. I think actually the relegation zone is going to be really close this year. But just because Sheffield, they have the same policy as Norwich, they don't want to buy many players because what it does is it just kind of screws up your tactics. Nobody's used to being in your tactics. Nobody's used to playing with each other, and so it's gonna mess you up. Like that could definitely happen with Aston Villa. It definitely happened with Fulham. So I think Sheffield are being smart, but they do need a few more players. I think they have broken their transfer record, but I think it might be Sheffield United. I feel bad doing this because they're really good, but I think it's just gonna be them. 19th this time I think it is going to be Newcastle. Um, yeah, I think Brighton. It could be for 17th. It could be either Brighton or Southampton, because Southampton have only signed 3 players, I think, and they've been on the brink of getting relegated multiple times. Didn't they finish 16th last season? And the season before that, they finished 17th. So I think Southampton might be a relegation for 18th. But right now, I think I'm gonna put Newcastle in. I feel bad again because they've got some decent players, but they've lost their manager. Steve Bruce is a good manager, honestly, but I think it's gonna be Newcastle. 18th. This one's like I said. I have some options for it, but I think it's gonna be between Brighton and Southampton. Maybe maybe Aston Villa, maybe Crystal Palace, but it's going to be between Brighton and Southampton, maybe Norwich again. I'm gonna have to think about this. Brighton have signed quite a few players and some very decent ones, and I think they're really trying to secure not getting relegated. But this has happened so many times, and it just didn't work, and the team ended up getting relegated anyways. Southampton have not signed as much players, which they probably no, they signed 3 again. I'm not sure who the third one was. They signed Danny Ings, who they already had. They just signed him permanently. They signed Che Adams as another striker and somebody else. I don't think Southampton are going to do very well, but I think Brian might do worse. Because, like I said, teams buy loads of players to make sure they don't get relegated. It just doesn't work. It's very, like, obvious. I think Brian might get relegated, but I just want to put Southampton. No, honestly, I think I'm going to do Southampton. I'm going to see Southampton have been on the brink so many times. So have Brighton, to be fair, but I think it's just going to be Southampton, and in 17th, it's going to be Brighton again. 2 17th finishes in a row, but I think it's going to be them. Actually, can I change that? I might actually make Brighton go a little bit higher. I think I might want to put Norwich or Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace didn't get a replacement for Wan-Bissaka. Their defense is decent, you know. They're going to get Cahill next season. They're gonna have Van Arnold, somebody else. I don't remember. They've got a few center backs like Tompkins. Their midfield is decent. I think it's decent. That's all. Their attack is good, but Benteke kind of is sucks now. He's not very good. Townsend is just he's been on decline slowly, hasn't he? And it's only really Zaha, but again, Zaha's angry. I don't think he's going to perform as well. So I actually want to put Crystal Palace. I like Crystal Palace, but I think this season, I mean, yeah, next season is not going to be the season for them. But I think they'll survive and they'll be able to rebuild easily. In 16th, obviously, I'm going to put Brighton because I've just been toying with them a lot for those places. Now, 15th, I want to put, well, it's between Aston Villa. I think I'm going to put Aston Villa, yeah. They've signed loads of players, which will mess up their tactics, but they've got very good players, and I think they'll do well enough to not get relegated and stay in the Premier League. Now for the other players. The other teams. So this one's probably between Burnley, Norwich, and Bournemouth. Gonna say, I don't think Norwich have the ability to do what Wolves did, so I'm gonna put Norwich, and then I'm gonna put in 13th Burnley. After that, 12th will probably be between Watford and Bournemouth. I'm gonna do Bournemouth, and 11th will be. I think 11th will be. It's got to be Watford, hasn't it? It could be West Ham, but West Ham are making some good moves. I think they're gonna do well. So it's either gonna be Wolves or Wolves have. I think Wolves are doing well. I think they're gonna be in 10th, so I'm gonna put Watford. And yeah, Watford. And then 10th is gonna be Wolves. So now, I think 9th it's gonna be West Ham. I think they could get 7th. I think it's definitely a possibility, but right now there's some good teams like Everton and Leicester, and even Chelsea might be good going down to 7th. So it's gonna be really hard this year for 7th, and I don't think West Ham's gonna be able to make it in 8th. So what I'm thinking is Everton. I think you know how there's always a top 6 and there's always a massive drop after 6th place. I think this season might be a massive drop after 8th place, and the teams will be the normal top 6 plus Leicester and Everton. And I think Leicester might get 6th place and Chelsea might get 7th because of the transfer ban. They have good players out on loan, and everyone knows that Chelsea still have a good team, but it might not be good enough. Leicester are doing some big things. Same with Everton, and Arsenal could also get put in that 7th spot as well. I wouldn't be surprised if either Chelsea or Arsenal got in 7th. Arsenal are trying to do a rebuild. They just signed Tierney, they're probably going to play him at center back because Kolasinac is a good left back. If they play him at left back, they're completely missing out on Kolasinac, which would not be good for them. What else do I think? They signed Pepe, but Pepe by himself, their attack is going to be amazing, but the defense is going to suck. So I think Chelsea will probably be put in 7th, even though I think it'll be really close between Leicester and Chelsea. But in 8th is what we're talking about. It's going to be Everton. 7th is going to be Chelsea. And then 6th, for a first time in a while, Leicester. Oh, no, not 5th. I think Leicester's going to break the 6th spot. This top 6 recurrence, the top 6 pattern. But in 5th, I'm going to put Arsenal. 4th, so this one's pretty big. So, United have been making some big transfers, a lot of transfers. So they signed Daniel James, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire. Their defense is a lot better than it used to be. Pogba's staying, but everyone knows he wants to go, and he could still leave actually because the other European transfer windows haven't ended. If he leaves, and Herrera has left, their midfield won't be what it used to be because they had a massive, great midfield. It just won't be as good. Their attack, they don't have Lukaku, so they're going to be relying on Martial, Rashford, and Mata, and Lingard. I don't think it's going to be good. I think fourth, even though United have done some big things, I think it's fourth might still be United. I think they will be moving up 2 places from where they were last season, but United could be third or fourth. I'm not sure. It's going to be fourth for United. Now, I think third, obviously, at this point, you'd be thinking Tottenham for sure. But it's interesting because I think City are going to be completely focused on the Champions League this season. I don't think they'll really care about the Premier League. They've won it twice in a row. 3 times? No, I think it's twice. So they won't really, like, everyone on their team pretty much has won a Premier League now. I don't think they'll be really focusing on the Premier League. I think everything will be focused on the Championship. They'll be resting players in the Premier League for the Championship games. They're going to be focused on the Championship. So I wouldn't be surprised if City actually didn't win. Everyone's saying City are going to win, but I think they might come third, to be honest, because everyone, it's the only point I have, which isn't good, but I think City might come third, and I think they're going to win the Champions League. That's what I think. I know it's a long shot. It's a long shot, but that's what predictions are about. Like, a lot of the time, they're never going to be what you think they are. So I'm going to put City at third. It's crazy, but I think it might actually happen. And second will be Spurs, and then first will be Liverpool, because Liverpool will be focusing. It'll be the opposite of City. They'll be resting players in the Champions League so they can win the Premier League. Because same reason as City, they've just won the Champions League. Most of the players on their team have now won a Champions League. Most of them haven't won a Premier League, so they probably want to do that now. So that's what I think. I'll just go through it a little bit. Sheffield in 20th, Newcastle 19th, Southampton 18th, Crystal Palace 17th, Brighton 16th, Aston Villa 15th, Norwich 14th, Burnley 13th, Bournemouth 12th, Watford 11th, Wolves 10th, West Ham 9th, Everton 8th, Chelsea 7th, Leicester 6th, Arsenal 5th, United 4th, City 3rd, Tottenham 2nd, and Liverpool 1st. That's my predictions for the Premier League. I hope I'm right. There's no way I'm going to get everything right, but I just hope I get a majority right. And I hope I don't make myself look stupid. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Premier League predictions. You should do your own predictions. Use this site. It's really easy to do. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.